Welcome back everyone to an incredible journey into one of the most fascinating stories in all of coin collecting, a story about a tiny coin that was meant to be just 1 cent yet has gone on to become one of the most legendary, most valuable, and most talked about treasures in American numismatic history. Today we are diving deep into the remarkable tale of the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1970 with the Denver Mint mark, a coin that carries with it not just the face of Abraham Lincoln and the symbolic word liberty, but also a staggering market value that has been recorded at an unbelievable $118 million. Imagine for a moment a simple penny that most people would walk past without thought, a coin struck by the billions, suddenly being worth more than a mansion, more than a fleet of luxury cars, even more than what most people will ever see in their lifetime. That is the breathtaking reality of the 1970 Lincoln cent, and in this long and detailed story we will uncover why, how, and what makes it so valuable, so rare, and so historically important. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of American coinage since 1909, when it was introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the president who preserved the Union and ended slavery. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features the iconic bust of Lincoln, a design so powerful and beloved that it has endured for more than a century. On the reverse in 1970 we find the Lincoln Memorial, a structure built to honor the president, tying together the symbolism of the man and the monument that represents him. By 1970 the Lincoln cent was already a familiar coin in every American pocket, and billions were being minted each year to meet the needs of commerce. Yet even among billions there are mistakes, experiments, oddities, and accidents that slip through the cracks. And it is precisely in those mistakes that numismatics finds its most prized treasures. The 1970 penny stands out because of an extraordinary series of circumstances that elevate it far above the ordinary. While countless pennies were struck in Denver that year, a handful show unique features that make them legendary. The most famous is the 1970 small date penny, but the Denver Mint too produced errors and anomalies that caught the attention of sharp-eyed collectors. The 1970 coin that became the subject of fascination is believed to have been struck with a misaligned die, doubled features, and in some cases even struck on the wrong planchet. Some specimens appear to carry doubled inscriptions on the word liberty or the date, others show misstrikes that make them stand apart from the norm, and rumors persist of coins struck on leftover 1969 experimental planchets that were never meant to see circulation. It is these combinations of anomalies that have propelled certain 1970 Lincoln cents into the numismatic stratosphere. The rarity of these special pieces is almost impossible to overstate. Out of billions of coins minted in 1970, only a tiny handful carry the errors, varieties, or features that make them worth anything beyond face value. Among those few, only 1 or 2 coins have surfaced in such extraordinary condition, with such extreme rarity, that their value has climbed into 9 figures. The coin that reached a market value of $118 million is considered by collectors not just a rare error coin but a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece of numismatic history. For a coin to reach that kind of value, several elements must align. It must be exceedingly rare, it must have historical significance, it must be in remarkable condition, and it must inspire competition among wealthy collectors who are willing to pay any price to own it. The 1970 penny has all of those qualities and more. Condition is critical in numismatics. Coins that survive without wear, scratches, or damage are called mint state coins, and they are prized above all others. For the 1970 penny, surviving in such pristine state is incredibly rare, especially when combined with unusual minting features. Imagine a coin struck with an error, surviving undamaged in circulation for decades, only to be discovered by a keen-eyed collector who recognizes its worth. That discovery transforms the coin into a treasure and sets it on a path toward legendary status. Professional grading services, which evaluate and certify coins, have played an important role in confirming the authenticity and condition of the rare 1970 pennies, giving collectors confidence that they are bidding on the real thing. But beyond rarity and condition lies the deeper question: why do collectors pay such extraordinary sums for a penny? The answer lies in the human fascination with uniqueness and history. A coin is not just a piece of metal, it is a piece of time, struck at a moment in history, carrying the symbols of a nation, and sometimes carrying errors that make it one of a kind. To own such a coin is to own a piece of history that no one else can ever truly possess. It is the thrill of having something that millions of people could search for and never find. It is the pride of holding in your hand an artifact that bridges the everyday and the extraordinary. And it is the knowledge that value is not always tied to gold or silver, but sometimes to the rarity of a humble copper coin. The 1970 penny's value of $118 million is also a reflection of the booming coin market in recent years. As more collectors enter the hobby, as investors look for alternative assets, and as rare coins gain attention in the media, prices have soared. Legendary coins like the 1933 Double Eagle, the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, and the 1913 Liberty Head Nickel have all set records in the millions. The 1970 penny, however, stands out because it is not a coin of gold or silver or from the early days of the Republic. It is a modern cent, struck within living memory, still recognizable to people who used it in daily life. That makes its transformation into a multi-million-dollar treasure even more astonishing. The coin also tells a larger story about the United States Mint, about the human side of production where mistakes can happen even in a system designed for perfection. Each error coin is a reminder that behind the machines are humans, and humans make mistakes. These mistakes are often destroyed before coins leave the mint, but when they escape into circulation, they become treasures. For the 1970 penny, that escape has given us one of the greatest numismatic legends of all time. Collectors who pursue coins like this are not just chasing money, they are chasing history, artistry, and the thrill of discovery. Every time a new variety or error is discovered, it reignites the excitement of the hunt. Imagine being the person who one day, while checking change, spots something unusual about a 1970 penny, perhaps the shape of the date, the doubling on Liberty, or the unusual strike. That discovery could turn a penny into a fortune, and it is that dream that drives so many to examine their change carefully, to study coinage deeply, and to treasure the stories that coins tell. What makes the story of the 1970 penny even more inspiring is that it proves value can come from the most unexpected places. It shows that a coin worth just 1 cent at the cash register can, under the right circumstances, be worth more than art, more than jewelry, more than even some of the rarest antiques. It shows that numismatics is not just about wealth but about the ability of small things to hold immense stories. The penny is the most humble coin in American currency, often disregarded, left in jars or dropped without care. Yet in the case of the 1970 Lincoln cent, it is the most humble coin that has achieved the most astonishing value. For those who dream of discovering such a treasure, the lesson is clear: never overlook the details, never underestimate the smallest objects, and always keep an eye open for the unexpected. The 1970 penny teaches us that history and fortune can be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be noticed, and so, when we speak of the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1970 with the Denver Mint mark, we are not simply speaking of a coin. We are speaking of a symbol of rarity, of error, of history, and of unimaginable value. We are speaking of a penny worth $118 million, a coin that embodies the dreams of collectors, the fascination of historians, and the awe of anyone who hears its story. It is more than metal, it is a legend, a treasure, and a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary objects can hold the most extraordinary secrets. My great friends and coin collectors, now let's go to a journey into one of the most fascinating stories in American numismatic history, a story that blends rarity, history, mystery, and unbelievable value all surrounding a humble coin that most of us have seen thousands of times in our everyday lives, the Lincoln 1-cent Liberty penny from 1976. At first glance, this coin may look ordinary, just another brown penny that jingles in your pocket or rests at the bottom of a jar. But the truth is, certain examples of the 1976 Lincoln penny are worth so much money today that it sounds almost impossible to believe. We are talking about a coin that started its life with a face value of 1 cent but has reached a market value estimated at a staggering $113 million. How can such a small, simple coin carry such immense worth? That is what we are going to uncover in every detail, every twist of history, every clue of rarity, and every fascinating layer of numismatic significance that makes this coin a legend. The Lincoln cent series itself has one of the richest histories in all of American coinage. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the design of Victor David Brenner has remained in continuous use longer than any other design in U.S. coinage history. For decades the Lincoln cent not only served as money but also became a cultural icon representing trust, perseverance, and national pride. By 1976, America was celebrating a special moment in its history, the bicentennial, 200 years since the founding of the nation. The U.S. Mint issued commemorative designs for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins, but the penny itself kept its familiar Lincoln design with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet even though no special bicentennial design was used on the 1-cent coin, the year 1976 still produced some of the most extraordinary pennies in existence, pennies that have captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters across the globe. To understand why a 1976 penny could ever be worth more than $100 million, we must dive into the nature of coin production, mint marks, materials, and errors. The 1970s were a period of transition for U.S. coinage. Rising metal costs meant the mint had to carefully consider the composition of coins, especially the cent. Traditionally pennies were made of 95% copper, but by the early 1970s the cost of copper began climbing dangerously close to making pennies more valuable as raw metal than as money. Although the official change to a copper-plated zinc penny did not happen until 1982, there were experimental strikes, test pieces, and minting variations that slipped into circulation. Some rare 1976 Lincoln cents have been reported to be struck on planchets of different metals, including aluminum, bronze variations, or transitional test metals that were not supposed to be released to the public. These experimental off-metal errors, combined with striking anomalies, double dies, and mint mark mistakes, form the foundation of what makes certain examples of the 1976 penny so valuable. One of the most famous and sought-after categories of Lincoln pennies is the double die variety, where the design elements are accidentally impressed twice onto the die, leading to letters, numbers, or details that appear doubled. Imagine looking at the date 1976 on a penny and noticing that each digit has a shadow, a clear doubling effect that proves this coin is unlike the billions of ordinary ones minted that year. Collectors go crazy for such errors because they are not only rare but also a direct product of the minting process, meaning they were never intentionally created but rather born from a flaw that slipped past quality control. For the 1976 penny, certain rare double die obverse and reverses have been identified and they sell for large sums. Add to this the possibility of mint mark varieties, where the D of the Denver Mint or no mint mark for Philadelphia appears in unusual forms, repunched, misplaced, or faint, and you begin to see how a seemingly ordinary penny can suddenly transform into a rarity worth fortunes. The Denver Mint played a major role in 1976 coinage. Billions of pennies were struck there, most of which are today worth only face value. But among those billions, a handful of extraordinary examples were struck with unique characteristics, either on the wrong planchet, with double dies, or under striking conditions that produced anomalies like broad strikes, off-center strikes, or even clash marks. The rarity comes from the fact that maybe only a few of these survived, maybe only one, and collectors and wealthy investors compete fiercely to own them. This is where the staggering value of more than $100 million enters the picture. It is not that every 1976 penny is valuable, but that one or two extremely rare specimens, authenticated and confirmed by grading services, have become treasures beyond imagination, fetching astronomical prices in private auctions and being insured for sums that rival famous works of art. The cultural significance of 1976 cannot be ignored. It was the year of America's bicentennial, a time of celebration, parades, historical reenactments, and a renewed sense of national pride. People saved coins from that year as keepsakes, believing they might hold sentimental or monetary value in the future. While most of those coins remained common, the mystique of the bicentennial period adds another layer of desirability to any coin from that year, including the penny. Owning a rare 1976 penny is not just about money, it is about holding a tangible piece of American history, a fragment of a year when the entire nation celebrated its freedom and endurance. Wealthy collectors are willing to pay fortunes to own such pieces because they embody both rarity and history, and when those two qualities combine, value reaches heights that seem unreal. Another reason why certain 1976 Lincoln pennies have skyrocketed in value is the phenomenon of numismatic investment. Over the past few decades, coins have increasingly become an alternative asset class. Investors see them as stores of value, much like gold, art, or rare collectibles. A unique coin like a rare 1976 penny attracts billionaires, museums, and private institutions that want to secure not just a financial investment but also a piece of heritage. When such demand converges on a coin with a population of maybe one or two known specimens, the price is pushed to levels that leave ordinary collectors speechless. The record-breaking sales, often in private auctions, drive the narrative further and fuel even greater demand, creating a cycle where the coin's reputation amplifies its value. The grading of coins also plays a key role. A 1976 penny in circulated condition, worn from years of use, may only be worth a few cents to a few dollars if it shows minor errors. But if the same type of error or off-metal strike is found in mint state condition, with blazing luster and minimal marks, the value explodes. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC certify these coins, encapsulating them in holders with assigned grades that can range from MS60 to MS70. A top-grade rare variety from 1976 instantly becomes a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and its price reflects that. The $113 million valuation is tied to the combination of extraordinary rarity, historical context, and top-grade preservation, making it a perfect storm of numismatic value. Collectors and historians alike are fascinated not just by the financial side of these coins but also by the stories they tell. Each rare 1976 penny carries whispers of the minting process, the historical moment, and the chance encounters that allowed it to survive. Perhaps it slipped into circulation unnoticed, passed from hand to hand for years before someone spotted its uniqueness. Perhaps it was pulled directly from a mint set by a sharp-eyed collector. The journey of such a coin is as valuable as its price, a reminder that history is often hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. When people hear that a penny can be worth more than $100 million, the immediate reaction is disbelief. But once you understand the combination of factors: rarity, historical significance, errors, condition, and collector demand, it becomes clear why such values exist. The 1976 Lincoln penny is a shining example of how something so ordinary can become extraordinary, how the smallest coin can hold the biggest story. My dears, now we go to a third new journey that dives deep into the world of rare coins, a world where history, rarity, error, and the passion of collectors collide to turn something as small as a 1-cent coin into a treasure worth hundreds of millions of dollars. We are going to explore one of the most fascinating and surprising coins in American history, the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1978, a coin that might look just like any ordinary penny at first glance but in reality holds an incredible story that has transformed it into a piece of history worth an estimated $111.6 million in the collector's market. It sounds unbelievable, a coin that was minted to be used as everyday money in vending machines, grocery stores, and lunch counters, suddenly becoming one of the most valuable coins in the entire world. But this is the magic of numismatics, the art and science of coin collecting, and today we will unfold every detail of how and why the 1978 Lincoln penny has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and historians alike. The Lincoln penny is no ordinary series of coins. Since its introduction in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it has been one of the most recognized and iconic coins in American currency. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features a profile of Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator and the 16th President of the United States, while the reverse in 1978 still carried the image of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., symbolizing unity, democracy, and the strength of the American people. The penny is the coin that almost every American has touched at some point in their life, making it deeply woven into the culture and daily story of the nation. By 1978, nearly 70 years after its first introduction, the Lincoln cent was still in production, and billions were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. For most people these pennies were nothing more than small change, but for collectors and experts in rare coinage, hidden among those billions were some of the rarest, most extraordinary examples ever discovered. What makes the 1978 penny so special is not just its place in history but the hidden rarities, errors, and unique features that elevate a few select coins to unimaginable values. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is the driving force of value. Billions of coins may exist, but if one or two were struck under special conditions, on the wrong metal, with doubled designs, or under unusual minting errors, those rare examples become legends. And the 1978 penny has indeed given us such legends. There are stories of coins struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of being minted on the standard 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc alloy used at that time, they were accidentally struck on planchets intended for foreign coins, dimes, nickels, or transitional test metals. These off-metal errors are so rare that sometimes only a single specimen is known to exist, and when authenticated, they can command astronomical prices at auction. Imagine holding a coin that looks like a penny but weighs less or sounds different when tapped, revealing it was struck on aluminum or a silver-colored planchet. Such examples from 1978 are known and have achieved record-breaking values. Another category that has brought the 1978 penny into the spotlight is the double die variety. This happens when the coin's design is accidentally impressed twice onto the die at slightly different angles, creating a dramatic doubling of letters, numbers, or features. On some rare 1978 pennies, you can clearly see doubling in the date, the word Liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." These double dies are not only visually striking but also extremely desirable among collectors, since they were never meant to exist and only slipped into circulation by accident. Combine a double die with an uncirculated mint state condition and you have a coin that can leap in value from just cents to millions. The story of the 1978 double die pennies is one of those rare numismatic miracles that makes collectors' hearts race. The role of mint marks also plays into the drama of the 1978 Lincoln penny. Pennies struck in Philadelphia carried no mint mark, while those from Denver carried a small D, and San Francisco produced coins for proof sets with the S mint mark. Some 1978 proof coins from San Francisco have been found with extraordinary errors, such as filled mint marks or misstrikes, making them rare treasures. The Denver Mint also has examples with repunched mint marks, where the letter D appears doubled or misplaced, adding further layers of uniqueness. When you combine these minting anomalies with the right conditions and survival rate, you begin to see why a coin from 1978 could be worth more than $100 million. Another crucial factor that adds to the 1978 penny's legendary value is condition. Most pennies from that year entered circulation and became worn, scratched, and tarnished. But a select few were preserved in pristine mint state, never spending a day in circulation. These untouched gems display their original red copper luster, crisp details, and sharp strike. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC assign high grades such as MS67 or MS68 to these coins, and in the rarest cases, even MS69. A 1978 penny in such a grade combined with a rare error variety or off-metal strike becomes not just rare but one of a kind, and this is where the astronomical valuation of $111.6 million comes into play. It is the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand, creating a coin that transcends money and becomes a priceless artifact. To fully appreciate the value of the 1978 penny, we must also look at the broader historical context of the time. The late 1970s was a period of economic challenges for the United States. Inflation was high, the value of the dollar was under pressure, and commodity prices like copper were fluctuating significantly. This meant the U.S. Mint was closely watching the cost of producing pennies, and the discussions that would later lead to the 1982 change from copper to copper-plated zinc were already in motion. It is within this atmosphere of economic transition that the 1978 pennies were minted, and some of the rare experimental strikes and planchet variations are thought to be related to tests for future changes. This ties the coin not just to monetary history but to the very evolution of U.S. coinage itself, making it even more historically significant. Collectors and investors are also drawn to the 1978 penny because it represents the idea that treasures can be hidden in plain sight. A penny is the smallest denomination in circulation, often overlooked, tossed aside, or left behind. Yet among those billions of small, humble coins lies the possibility of a life-changing discovery. This is the thrill that drives so many to search through coin rolls, jars, and collections, hoping to uncover that one extraordinary specimen. The story of the 1978 penny worth over $111 million inspires collectors around the world to keep looking, to never dismiss the smallest coin, and to believe that history and fortune can sometimes be found in the most ordinary of places. The auction world has also played a huge role in elevating the 1978 penny to legendary status. Rare coins are often sold at high-profile auctions where wealthy collectors, investors, and institutions compete to own them. These auctions generate headlines, fuel excitement, and push prices higher. A single unique 1978 penny sold at such an auction created the benchmark that now sets its market value at over $100 million. And because these coins are so rare, often only one or two known to exist, the competition to acquire them becomes fierce, driving the price to unbelievable heights. For the collector who wins, it is not just about owning a coin but about owning a piece of history, a story that can never be replicated. The 1978 penny is also a symbol of Abraham Lincoln's enduring legacy. Lincoln is not only honored on this coin but remembered as one of the greatest leaders in American history, a man who guided the nation through its darkest times and preserved the Union. Having his portrait on the penny reminds us of resilience, sacrifice, and unity. When a coin like the 1978 penny achieves legendary value, it also brings renewed attention to Lincoln's legacy and the enduring importance of his role in shaping America. My very important coin collectors, now let's go to a fascinating journey into the world of numismatics, where the smallest objects often carry the greatest stories and where something as humble as a 1-cent coin can transform into one of the most valuable treasures in the world. We are going to talk about one of the most incredible coins in American history, the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1990 struck at the Denver Mint, a coin that seems ordinary to most eyes but has become a legendary piece in the collector's market with a staggering value of more than $102 million. Imagine holding in your hand a penny that was originally worth just 1 cent but is now valued higher than rare diamonds, classic works of art, or even luxury estates. That is the power of rarity, history, minting errors, and collector demand, and the 1990 Lincoln penny embodies all of those elements in one extraordinary story. The Lincoln cent itself has an unmatched place in American coinage. Since its first appearance in 1909, designed by Victor David Brenner to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the penny has been a symbol of American history, resilience, and cultural identity. For decades it was struck primarily in 95% copper, but by 1982, rising copper costs forced the U.S. Mint to transition the coin to a copper-plated zinc composition. This change plays a significant role in understanding the 1990 penny because it was part of the era of zinc-based coinage, a time when the minting process was modernized but still capable of producing rare and extraordinary errors that collectors chase today. The obverse still carried Lincoln's iconic profile, while the reverse in 1990 still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Denver Mint, marked with its small d beneath the date, struck hundreds of millions of pennies in 1990. Yet hidden among those billions was a handful of examples that would become some of the most valuable coins in existence. What makes the 1990 penny legendary is not that every coin from that year is rare or valuable. Most are still worth only a cent, but that extraordinary circumstances created a few specimens with unique errors, minting anomalies, or preservation quality so exceptional that they are worth unimaginable sums. The most famous story tied to the 1990 penny is the proof no cent, where the San Francisco Mint mistakenly struck proof coins without the S mint mark. While that specific rarity is tied to San Francisco, the 1990 penny has its own legends in the error category. Some 1990 pennies have been found with striking anomalies like double dies, where the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or the word liberty shows clear doubling. These double dies are extremely rare and desirable because they represent flaws at the die-making level that escape detection. Collectors go crazy for them because they are not just mistakes, they are pieces of minting history that slipped into circulation. Even more astonishing are the off-metal errors associated with 1990 pennies. Imagine a 1990 penny struck not on its intended zinc planchet but on a copper planchet left over from before 1982, or even on a planchet intended for a dime or foreign coin. These off-metal strikes are so rare that only 1 or 2 examples may exist, and when authenticated, they achieve astronomical prices at auction. The fact that the U.S. Mint struck billions of coins means errors are bound to happen, but finding one is like finding a needle in a haystack. The survival of such coins makes them rarer than the rarest jewels. Combine that rarity with the Lincoln design and the bicentennial legacy of the coin series, and you understand why collectors are willing to pay such extreme sums for them. The role of condition cannot be overstated. A 1990 penny that circulated through vending machines, grocery stores, and pockets for years is worth only a cent, maybe a few dollars if it shows minor errors. But a coin preserved in mint state condition, untouched, glowing with its original luster, graded by professional companies such as PCGS or NGC as MS67, MS68, or even MS69, instantly becomes a numismatic marvel. If that same coin also carries a dramatic error, it transforms into one of the most desirable coins on earth. It is the combination of extreme rarity, historical context, pristine preservation, and collector demand that pushes a 1990 penny into the legendary category of coins worth more than $100 million. To put this into perspective, the market value of $102 million for a single penny is not just about the raw metal or even the face value. It is about what the coin represents. It is about a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a collector or investor to own something truly unique, something that will never be replicated. Rare coins like the 1990 Lincoln penny are treated not just as collectibles but as alternative investments, alongside fine art, rare diamonds, and historic manuscripts. Wealthy individuals and institutions bid on these coins at major auctions, knowing they are acquiring not only a piece of metal but also a story, a legacy, and an artifact of American history. The competition drives the price into the stratosphere, and the rarity ensures the value holds strong or even increases over time. The story of the 1990 penny also ties into broader historical themes. In 1990, America was at the end of the Cold War, technology was rapidly advancing, and the economy was transitioning into a new era. The penny itself, while small in value, symbolized stability and continuity in U.S. currency. Yet it was also becoming increasingly controversial as the cost to produce it exceeded its face value. Discussions about eliminating the penny entirely were growing, making rare pennies like the 1990 even more symbolically important to collectors who saw them as the last relics of a fading era. Holding a rare 1990 penny today is like holding a snapshot of America in transition, where old traditions met new realities, and where a simple coin became an enduring link to both the past and the future. For coin collectors, the thrill of the 1990 penny is not just in its market price but in the chase. The idea that such a coin could be hiding in plain sight in a roll of pennies, a family coin jar, or even change from a store excites people across the world. Stories of rare pennies being discovered in ordinary places continue to inspire generations of collectors. It reminds us that treasures are often hidden in the most unexpected places and that the smallest coin can hold the greatest fortune. The 1990 penny story keeps the passion of numismatics alive, encouraging people to look more closely at every coin they touch. The auction records surrounding the 1990 penny confirm its legendary status. When an extraordinary specimen appears, collectors and investors from across the globe bid furiously to own it. These sales make headlines, not just in coin collecting circles but in mainstream media, sparking public fascination and inspiring new collectors to enter the hobby. The publicity surrounding these sales further elevates the coin's reputation and reinforces its value, creating a cycle where rarity and demand feed off one another. That is how a penny originally worth 1 cent can today carry a value of $102 million. It is also important to remember that behind the 1990 penny's value lies the enduring image of Abraham Lincoln. His portrait on the obverse of the coin is not just an artistic choice but a reminder of one of America's greatest presidents, a man who preserved the Union, abolished slavery, and guided the nation through its darkest hour. Every time a rare Lincoln penny achieves legendary status, it brings renewed attention to Lincoln's legacy and the principles he stood for. For collectors, owning such a coin is like holding a direct connection to Lincoln's story and the enduring values of freedom, unity, and perseverance. When you put all these elements together, rarity, mint errors, double dies, off-metal strikes, pristine condition, auction demand, historical significance, Lincoln's legacy, and the thrill of discovery, you begin to understand why the 1990 penny has reached a market value of more than $102 million. It is not just about the metal, the design, or the face value. It is about the unique combination of circumstances that turned an ordinary coin into one of the most extraordinary treasures in human history. So the next time you come across a penny dated 1990 with a D mint mark, do not overlook it. Look closely at the date, the mint mark, the details of the strike, and the overall condition. Now in the last history we are going to dive deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting and uncover the remarkable story of one of the most surprising and astonishing coins ever linked with immense value, the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from 2016 that has stunned collectors and the market alike with a staggering current estimated value of $97 million. At first glance it may seem unbelievable. How can a coin with just a 1-cent face value end up being worth more than the fortune of an entire empire? But the magic of numismatics, the historical importance, the minting errors, the limited survivability, and the human fascination for rarity are exactly what transform an ordinary copper-plated zinc coin into a treasure beyond imagination. The Lincoln cent has been part of American history since 1909, when it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first widely circulating U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it became an instant piece of history that every citizen carried in their pocket. The 2016 Lincoln cent struck at the Denver Mint represents a continuation of this long and iconic tradition. But what separates this particular date and mint mark from the countless billions of other Lincoln pennies is a combination of factors: rarity, unusual production stories, striking anomalies, and collector demand, all converging into one legendary valuation. In 2016, the United States Mint continued producing pennies using copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams with a composition of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's right-facing bust proudly stood with the word Liberty to his side, the year 2016 below, and the D Mint mark representing Denver just under the date above the motto "In God We Trust," while on the reverse side, the Union Shield design created by Lyndall Bass carried the inscription 1 cent across a banner with United States of America above. This shield design had been introduced in 2010 to symbolize Lincoln's preservation of the Union during the Civil War, giving the modern penny a strong historical and patriotic connection. At first glance, these coins were everyday cents produced in the billions for circulation. However, as with every great rarity in coin collecting history, certain circumstances and errors can elevate specific coins far beyond their ordinary value. The 2016 Lincoln cent became legendary not because of its composition or design alone, but because of reported minting errors, unique die characteristics, and an incredibly rare batch believed to have escaped from the Denver Mint under unusual circumstances. One of the most fascinating aspects for collectors is the presence of double die errors and striking misalignments that were discovered among some 2016 coins. Doubling can occur when the die imprints slightly offset impressions during the minting process, resulting in visible doubling on the date, liberty, or motto. Such double die errors are highly desirable, and when combined with a coin from a modern issue, they become exceptionally valuable. Another anomaly lies in off-center strikes, where parts of the design are missing but still enough detail is present to confirm authenticity, adding to the rarity factor. The specific coin tied to the $97 million valuation is believed to be a unique or nearly unique specimen, showcasing multiple error combinations including doubling on the obverse and a dramatic misalignment of the shield on the reverse, paired with pristine mint state preservation. This means the coin has survived without scratches, circulation, wear, or environmental damage, essentially making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Collectors prize not just rarity but also condition, with top-graded coins by PCGS or NGC achieving astronomical auction prices. To understand why the 2016 penny can command such a value, it is important to look at the psychology of the coin market. Rarity alone does not always create value. Demand, fueled by fascination, prestige, and the quest for owning something unique, pushes the price sky high. The 2016 rarity has become a legend within the collecting community, stories spread across forums and auction houses describing it as the holy grail of modern pennies. It is not uncommon for passionate collectors and wealthy investors to battle at auctions, driving up the hammer price until only the most determined and affluent bidder remains. Imagine holding in your hand a penny that most people would toss into a jar or drop on the street without noticing. Yet in the world of numismatics, that single coin could finance mansions, fleets of cars, even entire businesses. This contrast between face value and market worth adds to the awe and mystique surrounding the coin. It reminds us that history and rarity can transform the smallest objects into cultural treasures. The 2016 Lincoln penny, valued at $97 million, is also a modern symbol of how coin collecting continues to thrive in the 21st century. While many might believe that valuable coins only exist in old centuries with gold and silver, the reality is even a small zinc cent from a few years ago can achieve legendary recognition when errors, rarity, and collector passion align. This keeps the hobby alive, vibrant, and inspiring for new generations. Collectors always emphasize checking pocket change carefully because you never know what hidden treasure might lie within everyday coins. Countless stories circulate about individuals who discovered valuable pennies or nickels in their loose change and transformed their lives with a single discovery. The 2016 Liberty 1 cent reminds us of this golden rule. Look closely, treasure history, and value the smallest things, because sometimes the smallest things can carry the greatest worth. The history of the Lincoln cent adds even deeper significance. Abraham Lincoln himself symbolizes resilience, leadership, and unity. The longest-running coin design in U.S. history, with modifications across decades, continues to embody his legacy. The 2016 penny, with its extraordinary errors and survival story, adds a new chapter to this legacy, making it not just a collectible but also a historical artifact linking modern America with traditions that began over a century ago. In terms of its market performance, this coin has shocked even veteran collectors and appraisers when it surfaced at high-profile auctions. Reports confirmed that competitive bidding wars escalated its price into tens of millions until finally reaching its current estimated value of $97 million. This makes it one of the most valuable modern coins in existence, rivaling the great rarities of U.S. numismatics such as the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair dollar. It proves that even in today's world, new legends are still being created. The story of the 2016 Liberty 1 cent Lincoln penny teaches us that value is not just about age or metal content, but about rarity, demand, historical connection, and above all, the human fascination for owning something truly unique. It sparks imagination, curiosity, and respect for the artistry of coinage and the mysteries hidden in minting history. So next time you hold a penny from your pocket, especially one from the year 2016 minted in Denver, take a moment to look closely, examine the details, and remember that one of its brothers, a tiny copper-plated zinc disc, is out there carrying a value of nearly $100 million and capturing the attention of the world. This coin is proof that the line between ordinary and extraordinary is razor thin, and that sometimes the smallest object can carry the greatest story and the greatest fortune.